This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Maxi Hughes over Zoom. Maxi, it's been a while since I last saw you. Never mind, saw you on kind of a Zoom or anything. So, how's life been
Yeah.
treating you?
Been all good, mate. Yeah, just same as usual. Still in this chasing this boxing dream. It's been years and years, 15 years of pro now. So no time, anytime soon, anyway, of stopping.
You mentioned that still chasing the boxing dream, and over the last maybe say 3, 4 years, you've certainly had more opportunities than the earlier chapters in your careers at a higher level. I know that you wanted bigger opportunities on the back of that controversial fight with George Kambosos, but what is that remaining desire, that remaining ambition when you think of the boxing dream?
Obviously, to fight for one of the four world titles. Obviously, as you said. I had it in my grasp against Kambosos. That were an IBF eliminator that were taken out my hands. I should have had the chance to fight Lomachenko for IBF. The IBF rewarded me with another final eliminator against William Zepeda. That didn't go my way. No excuses. I chose to get in the ring. I could have sat, after being deported, I could have said, no, I'm going to reschedule this fight. This is not ideal. But I decided to, you know, a crazy week, running all over different countries, loads of flights, but that didn't go my way. So how I've reset myself is I've been so close. I've worked so hard to get there, and then the stars didn't align for me. I've had it in my grasp, and it's not gone to plan. But for some reason, I've still got motivation and a desire to get there. I think because I know what it takes to get there. Um, just need obviously Cambosa sit with the judges. Zapida, it was the home, what they call them, Homeland Security officials. They wasn't in my favour. So I've got the desire to carry on, and third time, you know, the stars will align, and I'll get that world title shot. But not looking past Archie Sharp next week. He's obviously thinking the same. Um, he's not had as nowhere near as much bad luck as me. He's only had the one defeat in his last fight, so I'm sure he's just as hungry. I know what it's like to be in his position where I don't think is as heavy underdog as I was against Giovanni Straffon. But I had to fight him as a big underdog in a stadium, and it brought the best out of me. Um, this could well bring the best out of Archie, and that's what I'm prepared for. I'm ready for that. Take care of him next week, and we should be in a massive position to take that step closer to fighting for that world title.
Max is just going to pick that back up there. We're just repositioning you before you started
Yeah.
kind of chop off the bottom of your jaw there. Let's go into the Archie Sharp fight before we do come on to those bigger opportunities that you're hopeful for the back end of the year. Um, how did you end up on Archie Sharp? Because as you mentioned to me just now, he had that defeat in his last fight. There's a lot of pressure probably on his shoulders to come through his fight. People might look at it as a bit of a crossroads fight for a pair of you. So how did he end up with Archie Sharp?
Well, the first fight we tried to get for this show was Josh Padley. Being another Doncaster boxer, he's from the next village along from me, Armfort v Rosington. Good local derby for the Sunday League football teams. Um, and obviously, yeah, so he was coming off the win over Mark Chamberlain. Um, So we just thought it'd be a good fight for Doncaster. And obviously we thought that's a better fight for the show. It was very close to accepting, but then he got the call for Shakur, which of course he's going to take that. I'm happy for him that he got the chance to fight, on that, and his stock went up massively. Then obviously he lost. And when he came back, we tried to make that again, saying, look, you've got a pocket full of money now. We can give you a 10, 12 week, about 12 weeks notice it was. So it says 12-week notice, can have a full camp. big show at Doncaster, and I think again I wasn't involved in negotiations, but I think it was close to being accepted. But then Eddie Earn came in and signed Josh, and I don't know what promises has made him. Um, so we were out. We sort of then thought, right, let's have a look about. We felt we needed a domestic opponent for this show to help it sell. Um, there were a couple of names, I won't mention them, that didn't come to fruition. So we sort of just worked his way down the rankings. And I got a call off Izzy from GBM saying, Archie Sharp will have it. He says, we've phoned him, his team, they've jumped at the chance. I says, right, fair enough. It is what it is. It's just a fight. Is enough of a name for me to get my teeth into, to give me that fire, to get me out of bed in the morning, to train hard. And now that we've got the WBC silver title online, knowing what that can bring, again, that's more fuel on fire. And yeah, so that's how we've ended up with Archie Sharp.
Stylistically, Maxi with Archie, the pair of you, but most people watch and think, you're not brawlers, you're not two men who are going to go toe to toe. It'll be a bit more standoffish, a bit more maybe of that counter punching style we'll see from a pair of you. So, how are you looking to negate or maybe make this fight more favourable in your position?
Well, you look at how who I've boxed over the last couple of years, boxed a lot higher level than Archie, and I'm able to adapt and do what I need to do to win, however that is, and that's been for the last few years, and that's no different for this fight. I do believe I'm levels above him. It's easy for me to sit here and say that. I've got next Friday to show that I'm that, and it was same as my last fight with Cully. He was supposed to be this next superstar from Ireland who was going to be heading up the to top at division and all this and that. And I think the fight was close in like the people's opinion of who they thought were going to win. Like always, again, it was like you said, a bit of a crossroads fight. Um, But we had other plans, and we were like, I said it all along. I'm levels above him. Again, I had to go out and show it, and I believe I did do that. So it's just the same from me again. People think it's a crossroads fight, a bit of this, bit of that, but I'll just go out there, do what I always do, and shine.
Max, I know you don't look too far into the future, but it's kind of my job to look at what could be on the horizon. And just one on Josh Padley, I've spoken to him about what could have been a fight with yourself, and he kind of felt like maybe the financially it wasn't rewarding enough for him. Obviously, on the back of him fighting Shakur, he's had enough of fights in, so understandably so. He feels that maybe his value's gone up more than what it was prior to certainly that Shakur fight. Do you think, or are you confident at some point you two can cross paths and you can have that Doncaster derby?
Maybe we'll see. He's missed and again, I'm not blaming him. He's obviously getting looked after at the minute by Eddie Earn. I don't think GBM was offering that same sort of looking after, but I know he's had two Riyadh season paydays, but they're Riyadh season paydays. You can't get that all the time. I'm pretty sure he won't have got that for that whoever it was. That kid who'd probably only ever fought people in his gym. He wouldn't have got that for that, and he said he wants to carry on boxing at that level. That kid who he boxed certainly wasn't that level. He looked absolutely petrified in there. Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, me with this belt on the line, I'm looking, at bigger things. Obviously, looking at Archie Sharp next week, with the WBC silver title. Somebody I know locally, Dalton Smith at the weight above. He recently won it and defended it and got made mandatory. So that's the sort of a footpath that I would like to go down. We've got Shakur v Zepeda July. I'd love winner. Especially if it's Zepeda to have another crack, being 100% on the money in preparation. Um, But yeah, just the big fights, and back to that Padley, he said he may move down a weight. I was super featherweight many years ago. I outgrew that, and I'll finish. I'll pretty much confident I'll finish my career at lightweight. Um, so who knows? I'm just chasing big fights. If that happens to be Josh Padley down the line, so be it. But at minute, it looks like we've gone on separate paths. So we'll see.
Another name I'm going to throw at you, and I don't know if it's been brought up or maybe even considered. You'd definitely be a tough fight, maybe not as financially rewarding though. Is that of Joe Cordina? Obviously, he's moving up now to lightweight, very established name, two-time world champion. Do you feel like that's a fight which you'd hold interest in?
Yeah, possibly. I like Joey. He actually reached out to me after Zapida, and sent me some nice messages like. Um, but yeah, I don't know what he's doing at the minute. I know it's been a while. It's been over a year, hasn't he, since his last fight. So I don't know. Yeah, but again, just concentrate on myself, get myself in position again. Like I keep saying, next week, get that WBC silver. I have been made mandatory for European title as well, so that's another potential option. Um, so yeah, we'll see where we are. I'm looking to try and keep active. So I do anyway. Stay in gym, so get this fight out way. Train over at summer and sit down with my team and see what options present themselves for us.
And obviously, I'm sure the one rematch you'd love more than any is that George Kambosos one. Um, what does Lou DeBella say to you? Because obviously, on the back of that, you've built quite a good relationship together. He's been, to my knowledge, quite communicative with you and with your team. Has he shown a willingness to try and make it? I know he's got the Richardson Hitchens fight on the horizon, but at some point, as he said, there's a willingness to try and make that fight.
I'm hoping so. He's always mentioned it like its potential, and I hope it is. It's a fight that I'd love. I'd even go to Australia for that. Um, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. Again, I've got this fight next week. He's got another shot at Hitchens. I don't think he'll do up there. Um, so we'll see. We'll certainly see.
And just to round it off, obviously Josh Warrington, that is, he returned on that card, which Josh Padley was on the Dalton Smith card. There's been a lot of talk about what next for Josh, and one of the names been mentioned is Michael Conlan. Now, I don't know whether that aligns with Michael's plans, because I know he's looking at that European title, but what would you make of a fight with Josh and Michael Conlan?
I think it'd be a great fight. For both lads. There's potential that if that fight happens, it could be over in New York, which both it's good for both lads. Obviously, the Irish contingency in New York, the Leeds lads. I speak to some of them. They've been chomping at bit for years for Josh to have that away day. So it'd be brilliant. Just imagine scenes over there. It would be like being in UK. I have a strong feeling it'd be like that. You'd be walking around and you'd just be hearing people from Leeds all over the place. I'm pretty sure they'd take over. So that'd be brilliant. And be a good fight for him. There's no news. Yeah, as you say, there's no news on that soon because that the rumor has it that Michael's got the European title shot in July, I believe. Nothing confirmed yet, but yeah, that'd be great.
Well, Maxi, listen, I appreciate your time as always. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. Get back to watering your garden. Thank you
Yeah.
for speaking to me in Boxing News.
Cheers, mate. See you in a bit.